Have you ever stared at a legal document and just felt completely lost? Like you're trying to read another language? Well, what if I told you that hidden inside all that crazy jargon is usually a pretty simple story? Today, we're going to prove it by breaking one of these things down together. Okay, so here it is. At first glance, it is just a wall of text, right? You've got names, dates, weird legal phrases. It's a lot. But our goal here is to cut through all of that noise and figure out the one thing that matters. What story is this piece of paper actually telling us?
You know, the best way to tackle a document like this is to think of it like any other story. And every story needs a setting and some characters, right? So before we even get to the plot, let's figure out the absolute basics. Who's involved and where is all this going down?
Okay, right off the bat, the document tells us exactly where we are. This isn't happening in some vague imaginary place. It's at the Office of Administrative Hearings in Phoenix, Arizona. And that case number? Think of that as this story's unique ID. It tells us this document belongs to one specific file in one specific office.
Next up are characters. In the legal world, they're called the petitioner and the respondent. The petitioner, Brian C. Herbert, is the person who kicked this whole thing off. The respondent, Blackstone at Vistancia Community Association, is the group that has to, well, respond. So in plain English, we've got a dispute between a person and his community association.
All right, so we've got our setting, we've got our characters, we know who's who and where it's all happening. So now it's time for the main event, the action, the big decision. What did the judge actually decide to do here?
And boom, here it is. This is the heart of the whole document. The very first thing the judge orders is to vacate a hearing that was scheduled for January 5th. This is the key action. But what on earth does vacate even mean? Vacate is really just a fancy, formal way of saying cancel. So, that big hearing that was on the books? Yeah, it's not happening. The judge has officially called it off. See? One little word, and suddenly that whole sentence makes perfect sense. Okay, so that brings up the next obvious question, doesn't it? Judges don't just cancel hearings for fun. Something must have happened to make it unnecessary. So, why was it canceled? Well, lucky for us, the document tells us that too. And there's our answer, right there in black and white. The hearing was canceled because the two sides reached a settlement. This is the reason behind the entire order. This is the why. And what's a settlement? It's just an agreement. It means Brian Herbert and the Community Association figured out their problem and came to a resolution without needing the judge to step in and make a ruling. They sorted it out themselves. So you can see the simple cause and effect playing out. Step 1, the two sides reached an agreement, a settlement. Step 2, because the problem was solved, the judge vacated or canceled the hearing. It's a really clear, logical flow. Now, you might be thinking, okay, story's over. But hold on, not quite. There's actually a second part to the judge's order here. The case doesn't just disappear. It has to go somewhere. So what's the final chapter for this file? Here it is, the final move. It is further ordered remanding this matter. The judge is sending the case back to the Arizona Department of Real Estate. This clues us in on where the case started and where it's going to get wrapped up. But again, we've got a new word. What does remand mean?
To remand something is basically just to send it back. Since the case is all settled, the judge is sending the file back where it came from, the Department of Real Estate, probably just to get it officially stamped closed. It's the final piece of administrative cleanup. And of course, to make the whole thing official, we have a signature and a date. It's signed by Administrative Law Judge Diane Mihalsky on January 3, 2018. That's the stamp of approval that makes it all legally binding.
And just like that, we did it. We took that intimidating page of legalese and we figured out its entire story from beginning to end. See? It wasn't so bad once we broke it down. Let's do a super quick recap of what we found out. So what's the story here? In 4 simple steps. A dispute was heading for a hearing, but before it got there, the two sides worked out an agreement. Because of that agreement, a judge officially canceled the hearing, and then the judge sent the case back to its original department to be finalized. That's it. Remember that wall of text we started with? It's not a wall anymore, is it? Just by knowing to look for the setting, the characters, and a couple of key action words like vacate and remand, we turned it into a story that actually makes sense. And that kind of leads to a final thought, doesn't it? Every official document, a court order, a contract, even a parking ticket, is telling a story. The trick is just knowing how to look for it. So the next time you see one, ask yourself,
What story is this trying to tell me?